Hey guys, welcome back to another episode. This episode does not have a number, it's just a bonus episode because I don't have a guest. I will be just giving you guys some updates. I felt the need to talk about a couple things, updates, bill updates, ADUs in real estate, ADU hacks, ADU fraud, and what you should know before hiring a contractor. So those are some of the topics that I'll be going over today, along with a few announcements and like what's going on in my world and how you can be a part of it, hopefully, if there's alignment. So first of all, let's start off with bill updates. So there's a lot of changes in California specifically around ADU laws, and they keep making them a lot friendlier. They keep updating a lot of these legislations. So I felt the need to come on here. I'm part of a couple Facebook group pages, and I always see a lot of homeowners who and investors who seem a little bit lost. They kind of don't know where to get started. They don't know what to believe, where to get their sources from. So I just wanted to take some time as an ADU advocate to get on here and talk to you guys about where you can find all that stuff. So, number one, you can start off by just literally Googling HCD handbook. Okay, if you read that handbook, that will give you a great blueprint as to what you can and can't build. Now, as of today in California, every homeowner, if it's feasible, if you have a garage basically and you have enough space in your backyard, you can build an ADU and a junior ADU, which would be anything attached. So I'd like to highlight that and start off there. A lot of people don't know if they can or can't build one. It's a statewide ordinance. You can go ahead and build or convert existing space. A couple bills that passed in 2023, and I'll talk about 2024 in a bit. One that I'd like to highlight is AB 671. This bill is designed to create more low-income home ownership opportunities. So, of course, as an advocate for ADUs, I'm also a huge advocate for affordability. We all know that it's very expensive to live in California. It's as an investor, it's very difficult to cash flow or create some sort of passive income. So you're having to do that through the ADU strategy, and so it's kind of solving two issues, right? Creating more housing and then also making it affordable by creating more housing. So that's a good one that you should keep an eye out for, whether you're a homeowner or an investor. And the goal of this episode, too, is kind of just to dumb things down because they make it seem very intimidating. The verbiage sometimes can throw you off, and maybe you can reach out to me or I can connect you with the right people who can really help you digest this information in a way where you're like, okay, I can implement this, I can do this. It's not that big of a deal. The other one that's a very hot topic is AB 1033. I know I've talked about that in some of the other episodes. This bill basically allows you to condoize your ADUs. Places like Seattle are doing it. And I'm not sure if Oregon is one of them too, but I know that it just passed. And the thing to highlight with AB 1033 is that cities have to opt in. So far, I think San Jose is the only one who's opted in and said, yes, we're going to allow for that to happen. We still don't know what the process will really look like and the costs associated with it. I did interview a permit processor, and she was stating some crazy numbers to condoize it. And so I think this strategy may not work for, one single family home with a detached ADU, but it could happen and could work for multiple ADUs, right? Places like San Diego, where you have the ADU bonus rule, and you're building multiple ADUs at a time. Now you're building sort of a complex. At that point, I do see this strategy kind of working. And of course, San Diego has to opt into that. So just wanted to highlight that and the hype around it as a realtor as well. I'm sure a lot of real estate agents are going to keep an eye on this one because as soon as you can sell them off, that is going to also allow for us to help more people in that space. AB 976 is another one, and this one extends the law that states that you cannot require that the house be owner occupied for an ADU to be added. This one was one that in the past they had said that you would need owner occupancy up until 2025, and they eliminated that completely and said you don't need it anymore. So basically, what that means is that you don't need to live there in order to be able to rent that out. So that's a good one as well to keep an eye on. AB 1332, this bill is designed to reduce the time and cost need to use through standard plans. So let's say like Cameron at ADU West Coast is one that I work with. If they've had plans approved and submitted through the city in Lakewood or Long Beach, and it's been approved in the past, you can use those same designs as long as they apply to, let's say it's a garage conversion that was approved with the city of Lakewood, and you also want to use those same plans for your own garage conversion, that is supposed to help streamline the process because they've already been approved, submitted with that same city. You can use those same set of plans. Now, if you're making any corrections or revisions to that, you may have to go through the entire process, but at least the purpose of this is really like for an investor, right? If you're not really looking to customize it, you want to use the same set of plans, you want to cut time and costs, that's a good one to consider. So AB 671, AB 1033, AB 976, and AB 1332. These are some of the bills that you can look up in Google and really read more into it. And one of the hacks that I would share is you could pull up any of these bills, right? Let's say AB 671. You pull up that bill, you can copy and paste the legislation verbiage into ChatGPT and prompt ChatGPT to give you a definition that you can understand, because again, the terminology can be intimidating, but at the end of the day, what these bills are really doing is helping streamline the process for ADUs, and California is really paving that wave so that other cities and states can adopt it nationwide. So that's with 2023, a lot of changes, as you guys can see. I recently went to an IMN conference. I was able to speak at the IMN ADU Forum. So this IMN network has events nationwide, and they decided to dedicate a whole entire event to the ADU market. And I was a speaker there, got to connect with a lot of amazing people in multifamily, which leads me to this new bill that was just signed, and that was kind of one of the main reasons why I prompted to do this podcast, was to talk about SB 1211. And what SB 1211 allows you to do is, before you could go in multifamily, we have what's called the 25% density rule, or 2 detached ADUs in multifamily. So by right, you could do that. And what SB 12 allows you to do now is go from 2 to 8 detached ADUs. Now, here's the caveat. You have to have, if you're going to build 8 detached ADUs, you need to have 8 existing units. So the amount of ADUs that you can add or, build detached has to equate to the existing number of units that you already have. So if you have a 4 unit, you have a quad, and you have enough space in the back to convert garages that are detached, it has to be detached, then you can convert some of those and also build some detached ADUs equivalent to that number of existing units. So if it's 4, you can build 4. If it's 6, you can build 6, and you get the point. If it's above 8 units, then most likely you're implementing the 25% density rule, and then probably can also implement the SB 1211. So that's one that I'm really targeting, and that's going to be my main focus for this year. I'm very excited for that one because it allows me to create strategic partnerships with people. So if you're an investor who is maybe looking to partner up with someone like myself who can help you with the operations and the management side of the project with the EDU stuff, then that's a conversation that we can have. So I'm definitely targeting multifamily owners who have 8 units to 20 units, who aren't aware about this strategy or this bill because it was just signed last week. And I posted about it on my Instagram as well. So we're targeting these people in areas where there's a very streamlined process with the city already, and offering property analysis, right? Let's see what's feasible. What can we build back there based on that Florida area ratio? And so, yeah, that's kind of where we're at in the legislative bill world of ADUs. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about was, let me go to my notes, ADU real estate. So as I'm always keeping myself updated with the MLS for any realtors out there, that's a multiple listing service, and always looking at properties that are for sale both in LA County and Orange County with ADUs. And I'd say right now in Orange County, you have about 80 to 150 properties for sale with ADUs. And in LA, there's a lot more than that. I want to say 250 to 350. So in total, for LA County and Orange County, you have close to 400 properties actively for sale or coming soon with an ADU. So I'd highly encourage you as an investor to look on the multiple listing service if you're working with a realtor, because you can really find good deals there. Believe me, I've sold a lot on there at a discount, or properties that have been sitting there for a while, especially with rates right now. They you really have the opportunity to negotiate the terms, the price, the closing cost, credits, any of those terms. And so it really plays a role in like who you choose to work with, which will take me into my next topic about vetting people. But I just wanted to highlight like the ADU market in real estate and what that's looking like. So there's a lot more inventory now, which means hopefully a lot more comps, which means hopefully a lot more a better gauge at what that ARV will look like after the build out. Because I know a lot of people have questions around like, what is my ADU worth, after I build it out? And the problem with that is there's different types, there's different sizes, there's different neighborhoods. And so it's a very case specific type of evaluation, unlike your standard comps, right? So I think this just brings a lot of awareness around like, before, I'd say 2 3 years ago, you'd see like 50 houses for sale with an ADU. So now that number is like 3x, 4x, which means we're getting close to having a lot more data to support that ARV, and especially with the AB 1033. Once more cities opt into it, and now you can condoize it and you can sell it off, it's really going to help, with those comps. I'm going to turn on this fan because I'm so hot. Okay, so that's that with legislative updates and real estate updates. I do have a course actually for realtors as well, who are thinking of figuring out how they can become an ADU realtor. I've kind of created that path for myself, and so I've created a course for it. If you guys are interested, let me know. Another hot topic I wanted to talk about was ADU fraud. So a lot of crazy shit has been going on in the ADU world, and I wanted to kind of point out a few things that have been happening, and like what should you know before hiring a contractor. But before I get there, I'll tell you guys what's kind of happening in Southern California, at least, and the Bay Area too. So everywhere in California, there's a lot of companies that at some point were legitimate, and then somewhere down the line they became fraud. And I know this firsthand because I've done a lot of ADU meetups in Southern California, and two of these companies uh, I actually had as a speaker at one of my events. And so at some point, I was pretty good about the vetting process, as far as like even going to their offices and checking out their sites and doing all that, checking out their license, making sure they had no active lawsuits, making sure that they were compliant. And they were actually building and they were helping clients up until they weren't. So, which is why it's very hard, like, to vet people nowadays, because they can have their active license, they can have everything legitimate, they can have the perfect Instagram, LinkedIn reviews, they could have built a couple ADUs. But here's what I see that's happening just from these companies, and I think I've already mentioned it on my Instagram. Multitasker was one of them. Pretty legit company at one point until they weren't. Next Gen Builders was another one. Anchor Tiny Homes was another one. And I think what's happened with a lot of these companies is they kind of shot themselves in the foot by first offering the design and the planning phase, and then wanting to take it on the construction as well. and not taking account, change orders, inflation, giving people quotes way ahead of time, right? If somebody's telling you, hey, your ADU is going to cost 150,000 to build today, is that really going to be the case 9 months from now, 12 months from now? Because that's how long these projects take. And so they didn't anticipate inflation. I know that's the only two contractors or design and build firms that I'm currently vouching for is Cameron at ADU West Coast and Andrew Slocum with ADU Brokers or Green Development. Those are the only two people that right now I'm vouching for because I know them firsthand and been working with them for a couple years now. And so with Cameron, for example, when we work together, we're telling clients like, hey, this is how much it's going to be, but we are taking into consideration everything that I just mentioned, right? And there is sort of a buffer that we've created for ourselves, and we also stick to certain markets only where we know, like we've worked with that city several times, and we know kind of know what to expect. But these contractors were just taking on people's money, right? More than 50% of what was needed to initiate the project, and probably started commingling funds. And I don't know at what point, they lost sight of the consumer and like business and profits, and you know, just it's really shady what they've done. And so I've never actually worked with them. I never worked with Multitasker, never worked with Next Gen Builders, never worked with Anchored Tiny Homes, but I know a lot of people that have been affected by it. And many times it's the people who paid up front, a whole bunch of money and were in need. They didn't really know much about the process. They're also on a budget. So it's like the people that, unfortunately were just in the worst position and were taken advantage of. But what's crazy is like you could say whatever you want to vet these companies, like go check out their sites. We did that. Go check out their license. We did that. Go check out their office. We did that. Check out their Instagram. We did that. You can do all of that and then still get scammed. So it's like, how do you? What should you know about, a contractor? All I could say at this point from what I've seen, right? And just building relationships with a lot of people and knowing that everybody knows everyone, reputation still wins. Like that goes a long way. So how you do business goes around very quickly, and everyone in the ADU world knows each other. I pretty much know everyone, at least in Southern California, who's building and which ones are doing good business and which ones aren't. And it's very easy to know by just texting someone, hey, have you heard of these people? Have you worked with them? That kind of happened with Next Gen Builders. To be honest, I kind of had an idea like something's off. Why is half of their team in Colombia, and they're out there and like they're not here physically? You need boots on the ground. They did a couple projects, so they were like I said, some of these companies are legitimate until they're not. With Multitasker, I even went to their office in San Diego. A lot of people in common. They did help some people, but then they didn't. At some point, they stopped. They probably took on too much. And I think like with Anchor Tiny Homes, I mean, it was like 100 million, some crazy number like that. For you to rip off that many people, again, they just maybe don't understand business, or they really were intended to do that since the beginning. I don't know what the intention was. All I know is that at some point they were legit until they weren't. So how do you vet a contractor, right? It's very difficult. And then what sucks is that going through a lawsuit just is going to cost you more time and money than really solve the immediate issue right now, which is get your ADU build out. And you've already given these people half of your money. So like, what the hell are you going to do now? I really feel for those people, which is why I was like, let me talk about it on this episode. I think the best thing that you can do is understand the process. So understand the law. Number one, like read the HCD handbook. That's a very easy way to understand the EDU law. Check their license, check their work, check their references. But most importantly, like just go with your gut and your intuition. And the biggest thing is that payment schedule, right? When you're hiring a contractor, there is no reason why you should be giving them more than 50%, not even 20% to begin the project. Like for us, I know that if you're working with me, I'll say 10% to begin the planning phase. And then from there, we'll lay out a specific payment schedule. Now, what is a payment schedule? I can send you guys a copy of what that looks like in our proposal, along with the amounts, right? So a payment schedule is paying as you go based on the work that's being done. And that's like the best and safest way for you to really vet out and work with the contractor. So when you sign that contract or that proposal, it should state a payment schedule, meaning you're going to pay me when I do this type of work, this type of work, and this type of work. Like there's phases throughout, and you're going to be paying me through each phase. So that's one way to really vet out these people, because there's no reason why you should be giving people 50% without framing being done. Or sometimes they do well up until the framing and then they leave halfway done. Other than that, I mean, it sucks because we are in a situation where it's in high demand, right? So everyone wants to build one, and I think that's part of the reason why a lot of these people or these companies maybe grew too fast. They couldn't. It's very hard to find contractors of boots on the ground that actually pull through. That's the other difficult part, right? There's a lack in skill trade, and there's a huge age gap in the skill trade. So you don't have a lot of young people working trades. You got a lot of the older, stubborn people. Um, and then the ones that are good, like the older people who are actually good in trades, they are charging a premium. So I would say like don't be cheap also. So don't be too expensive and like pay crazy amounts for a build out, but don't go for the cheapest either, because it's going to cost you more at the end of it. And that's kind of what's happening with a lot of these people. So yeah, I mean, like I said, what should you know? Like understand the process, and if you need help with that, let me know. I can definitely consult with you and let you know what that process looks like. That's that with the fraud stuff, which is crazy. And I just wanted to put that out there because it's happening more and more, and I believe we're going to see a lot more companies go through that. They don't anticipate the actual cost and the time frame that it takes. You know, when somebody promises you to build it within 7 months, they don't know what the hell they're talking about. So just putting that out there. Again, just call me if you have a contractor that maybe you want vetted. Again, they're just a text or a call away, and I can get more details for you. Announcements on a couple things coming up. So next year, I was doing an ADU Women's Mastermind, and I really want to empower women in the space. I believe my friend Florentine told me the stats of women involved in the construction space is about 10%. And most of that is women in the admin world, right? So there's a lot of women in the space, but we're kind of behind the scenes. And so I want to empower women to be more at the face front of the construction world and the real estate space. They're both very male dominant spaces. And I find a lot of comfort in like seeing other women, you know, at the IMN event or even the ADU Academy. Very few women speaking, but I love the fact that there's a lot of men who are making space for us and are actually requesting that there's more women speaking, there's more women in the business. And so with that, after doing the 6-month ADU Women's Mastermind, we all came together and said, you know what, we actually want to do this in person. So taking all of the women's feedback, we have decided to do 2 events next year. So one of them will be sometime between April and May, March and May. I'll send you guys the dates, and I'll be posting it on my Instagram, and probably do an episode about it with details. But it's going to be a 2-day event. The first event will be for women in business. So it's going to be a very general, you can be in real estate, ADU space, whatever, any sort of business. Business is business at the end of the day. So we're going to talk about marketing, branding, operations, systems, automation, things like that. And then obviously like the feminine side of us, right? How do we juggle the masculine activities with balancing the feminine? So we'll add some yoga, breath work, mom life for us who are moms, kind of share how we juggle it all and really have that sense of community and build some really dope relationships. And at the end of the day, with the intention of like helping us elevate in every aspect of our lives, which is health, relationship, business, and finances. So I'll probably have someone come and speak on all four of those topics. And yeah, if that sounds like you'd want to join us, let me know. It's most likely going to be somewhere in SoCal. Still don't have the details yet, but I wanted to throw that out there. That's in the works. And then the second event will be for women in the ADU space. That's going to be a lot more of an intimate setting because I don't see a whole lot of women, unless hopefully women hear this episode and they decide they want to join. But if you are in the ADU space, maybe you've built an ADU, maybe you're a contractor, designer, architect, you're a realtor, you're an ADU advocate, you're an ADU or real estate, whether you're at the forefront of it or on the back end, it doesn't matter. Feel free to join us. This is also going to be a 2-day event, and this one will be very hyper focused in the ADU world. And we'll talk about everything that I kind of mentioned in today's episode, right? Updates on legislation, hacks, implementation, how to implement a lot of these strategies. And so that's kind of like the goal for that one. Very, very excited for that because that'll be our first ADU women's mastermind, you could say, in person. And that one will also be in SoCal. So both events will be in SoCal. That one will be sometime between August and October, August, September of next year. So just kind of putting it out there way in advance, but they're going to be very intentional, going to be super intentional with my events next year and really dedicate a lot more time to women in the space. So if this sounds like you're interested, reach out to me. And then lastly, I will have quarterly meetups / happy hours. Again, they will all be in SoCal, Huntington Beach, Seal Beach, anywhere down the coast. And I'll send you guys dates on those. So that'll be 4 meetups. So 4 meetups for anyone, men and women, every single quarter. That's the goal for next year. And then 2 main events for women. So the Women in Business and then ADU Women's Mastermind. And that's kind of what I have going on. So it'll be a total of 6 events next year, along with more episodes to come. So with that, if you are in the multifamily or ADU space, I would really like to have you on the episode. I am actually booked for October and November, which is amazing. And that was thanks to me attending the IMN event. I met a lot of amazing people. So I have a lot of cool people that will be joining the episodes, the podcast in these next couple episodes. And you guys will understand a lot more about multifamily. I think I've done enough educating in the residential world and the ADU space. And now as I transition fully into multifamily, the goal is to still remain an ADU advocate, but in multifamily. How can we scale this, with multiple ADUs on units and kind of focus on that. So, and then also look for strategic partnerships. So looking to invest in SoCal, Orange County, LA County, and San Diego are the markets that we're looking into, and also opening up into Florida. So if this sounds like your jam and you want to have a conversation, please reach out to me. And that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much. It's been awesome. And I'll see you guys on the next one.